I'm going to share with you my run and gun B-roll setup for filming in the sun, in the heat, in Miami. And I'm also gonna share some tips and tricks that you can use to give your client a great experience while you're filming. Let's get into it. First things first, if you are using the DJI Ronin stabilizer, make sure you use the RavenEye. Take advantage of that. It's a great way to create a nice director's monitor for the client so that they feel included in what's happening and they can see the shots and give feedback if needed. So here's a simple way to do that. I'm gonna show you how I've set it up with the stabilizer. It's really easy, and it's something that even if you don't use it all the time, you should know how to set it up so that if you are on set and someone's like, hey, I wanna see what the shots are, you know exactly how to set it up and you're prepared and you're knowledgeable. Or if you just wanna create an additional feed to send to somewhere else, is also a great resource to use for that as well. So let's get into that. So first things first, you want to connect the RavenEye to the bottom of the stabilizer, and I'll show you exactly how this slides in and why you may want to go with the RavenEye as opposed to other transmitters. This one is specifically made for the DJI ecosystem, so there are some advantages. Let me show you how that comes on and off. So on the bottom of the stabilizer, you'll see these grooves here. That's gonna line up with this square on the bottom of your RavenEye. So you wanna line it up at the bigger slot and then slide it down, and it's gonna go in and it's gonna be nice and snug because of these balls on the bottom that also roll. So I'm gonna line it up with the bigger hole, then I'm gonna apply a little bit of pressure and I'm going to slide it down. And it's a nice snug fit. Next thing you wanna do is supply power to the RavenEye. So I'm going to plug it into the USB-C on the back, and then I'm also gonna plug it into the top USB-C slot on the stabilizer. Then I'm gonna plug in the provided HDMI mini to full HDMI cable and connect it to the Sony FX3, or in your case, you can connect it to any camera that you have. What's great is that the kit comes with a lot of different cables and HDMI sizes, so whether you have a mini HDMI, regular HDMI, there is a cable that comes in the kit. So take a look, you probably have something in there that'll fit perfectly with your camera. So once the RavenEye is set up and it's onto the stabilizer, on the back side there's a button. You want to push that and power it on. So I'm just gonna hold that down and turn it on, and then you should see a red light. So what's really great is that once the RavenEye is on and connected and plugged in, it's gonna get continuous power from the stabilizer. So it's gonna keep it juiced up, because I do think that the power does go out pretty quickly. Then you can grab any iOS device. I think they have one for Android too, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into the Wi-Fi and you're gonna connect to your RavenEye. So I'm gonna connect to my RavenEye there. Then I'm gonna open the DJI app, and now I can see a feed of what's on the stabilizer, which is really, really cool. And what's great, most of us have older iPads laying around the house or older iPhones. Grab the iPhone, grab the iPad, download the app, and boom, you have a monitor for your client, for your producer, for your director, for anyone on set who wants to see what's going on. And it's a real simple way to elevate the whole setup. It takes you from, you know, just your average videographer and bumps you up a notch to someone that's thinking about the client experience. So I think one thing that elevates certain DPs and videographers from others is the experience that they set up for the client. So yes, you may have everything set up, you may be looking great, but what are they gonna see? How can you include them? And then I think that the more you can think about that in your setups and your workflows, the more work that you'll get and the more that you'll be booked. Because let's be real, everybody and their mama has an FX3 now. Everybody got a stabilizer, everybody's shooting, everybody's releasing on YouTube, everybody's doing this, everybody doing that, but not everybody's getting hired and not everybody's getting paid. So what's gonna separate you from the pack is how you treat the client, the experience you set up for them, your professionalism, your positivity, your creativity, and of course the eye, the shots that you bring to the table, and you know, the equipment helps as well. But honestly, I could have brought any camera and it would have been fine. They're not hiring me for the camera that I'm using, they're hiring me for me and what I bring to the table and just the overall experience of working with me on set. So if you want to stand out, check your attitude and your positivity first, and the gear second. Trust me, you'll start to book more gigs. So what else do we have on this rig? Let's move this back a bit. I think I'm being a little too risky there. Oh, real quick. So I have the Asun case on the iPad, so this will keep it protected in case it drops, and also has a nice little handle as well. And then I have a quick release attachment on the bottom, so I can put it directly onto a lighting stand and be good to go quickly. So for this build, once we have the RavenEye connected and you build out your camera, you always want to build out your camera how you're going to use it so that you balance it for the build. So on the front here, I have a variable ND filter. I always prefer a variable ND filter over the one with the clicks because I feel like it gives me the most range and the most options and the most seamless experience on set. So if sun comes out of nowhere, instead of it being a harsh click or a very noticeable change, I can just gradually rotate that and it feels more of like a natural shift. So that's why I prefer variable ND. This one is from Tiffin. I have this digital mic on top here from Sony. What's also really cool is that you can record the front and the back to separate channels. So that's pretty awesome. I can send the front of it to the left and the back to the right. So in post, I can also hear my questions, but I could also hear them clearly as well. I have a small rig cage on here. I use small cages pretty much for all my setups, and it has the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. So I guess I could have used that actually instead of this base plate to slide it in. And of course I have the briefcase handle. That's just gonna give me a little bit more control when I'm moving. And then when I am going between sets or going between locations, I'll just let it go and kind of hold it just like this. Let me show you. When everything is secure, you can just hold it like this. What I'll do is I'll film, and then when I'm ready, I'll hit the lock button and it locks it up, and then I can just walk around, figure out what's happening next. If I need to, I can put the stabilizer down as well. But this is my setup, this is my build. Sometimes I do use a V-mount battery as well on my waist and connect it to this, but I just wanna have as light a setup this go around. So this is gonna be my setup, and I'll just have a few extra Sony batteries in my pocket. The Sony batteries do last quite long. So once I get to about 10% and there's a down moment, I'll switch out the batteries and put a fresh one in and then keep it pushing. But yeah, this is my run and gun stabilizer setup. Of course, you can keep building and adding more to this. I can, add a tentacle sync if I want to do some time code there. Can add some other attachments here. I know a lot of people may add a monitor here or on the side. The only reason I don't really add a monitor is because I want to keep this as light as possible. And I'm very comfortable using the monitor that's here, so I'm fine getting the shots that I need. And because the autofocus on this is amazing, I know that once I have my subject fairly in the center, it's gonna be great. I don't have to worry about it too much. So this is my run and gun setup for filming in Miami. Let me know if you have any questions. I hit myself with the wire. I am gonna pack this away, and what I do is I take this piece off here when I pack it away and fold it up. So this way it's already balanced. And then once I get to set, all I have to do is slide this on and I'm good to go. So hopefully maybe I can show you some B-roll of me doing some things. I don't know, NDA, so I probably can't, but maybe when it does get posted, I can show you some of the actual footage from it. But yeah, I am the chef gal and you just got the recipe.